Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to discuss about quantitative estimation of proteins by Folin-Laurie method. In the last practical, we discussed about qualitative analysis of protein by using various tests where we just detect whether protein is present or absent in the given sample, and how qualitative analysis is done by biuret test, by xanthoproteic test, by ninhydrin test, by sodium nitroprusside test, by heat and acid precipitation test, okay, and Millen's test. Now we will study how the amount of or the concentration of protein present in the unknown sample can be determined. That is quantitative estimation of protein by using Folin-Laurie method. Okay, so the principle of this method is based on two leading colored complex chemical reaction. The first reaction is the biuret reaction, where cupric ions of the mixture react with the peptide bond of protein under alkaline condition and get reduced to cuprous ions. Then the second reaction is called as Laurie's reaction. So this reduced cuprous ions, okay, here Folin CO calcium reagent along with copper sulfate solution and protein form a blue purple colored complex. Okay, the intensity of the color is measured by measuring the absorbance of the colored complex using a spectrophotometer or a colorimeter at 660 nanometer. The range is from 650 to 700 nanometer, but we measure the absorbance at 660 nanometer. How the colored complex is formed? The phenolic group of amino acids, especially those amino acids which contain aromatic rings like tyrosine and tryptophan. Okay, so the phenolic groups of tyrosine and tryptophan will produce a blue purple color due to the reduction of phosphomolybdotungstate. This phosphomolybdotungstate is present in Folin CO calcium reagent. Okay, so the phenolic group of amino acid tyrosine and tryptophan will produce a blue colored complex due to the reduction of Folin CO calcium reagent, that is phosphomolybdotungstate, into heteropolymolybdenum blue by the copper catalyzed oxidation of amino acids. Okay, right. So blue color is formed due to the reduction of Folin CO calcium reagent, that is due to the reduction of phosphomolybdotungstate into heteropolymolybdenum blue by the copper catalyzed oxidation of amino acid. And the intensity of the blue purple color, depends upon the amount of aromatic amino acid present in the protein, that is amount of tyrosine and tryptophan present. The more the number of aromatic amino acid present in the protein, the more intense will be the color. Okay, so the blue purple color that is formed depends upon or it varies from one protein to another protein, because all proteins don't have same amount of tyrosine or tryptophan. So the color intensity depends upon amount of tyrosine and tryptophan. So the color that is developed differs from one protein to another protein, because the blue purple color is formed only because of amino acid tryptophan and tyrosine. The reaction is also pH dependent. So we have to take care to maintain alkaline conditions between 9 to 10.5 pH. Okay. So a stable blue color is formed, and the intensity of the color increases with the increase in concentration of protein. Okay, so we have to measure the color intensity by using a spectrophotometer or colorimeter. Okay, how much amount of light is absorbed by the colored product. Right. What are the different reagents that we require? First of all, we require a protein as a standard protein. We are going to find out concentration of protein present in unknown sample, and for that we have to first prepare a standard graph. And for preparing a standard graph, we need a standard protein solution, that we use bovine serum albumin, BSA. Okay, so 100 milligram of BSA is dissolved in 100 ml of double distilled water in a standard volumetric flask. So that is 1 mg per ml. Now you have to dilute it. Okay, we dilute it such that the working standard of bovine serum albumin is 100 microgram per ml. Okay, 100 μg per ml of bovine serum albumin is used. Then The next solution is solution A, 2% sodium carbonate in 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide. Okay, so we prepare solution A, 2% sodium carbonate in 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide. Then solution B, 0.5% copper sulfate in 1% sodium potassium tartarate. Right. Now to prepare alkaline copper reagent, that is reagent C, okay, we have to now prepare alkaline copper reagent. So you have to mix 50 ml of solution A with 1 ml of solution B prior to use. Just when you want to use it, mix 50 ml of A solution with 1 ml of B solution. That is called as alkaline copper sulfate reagent, or we name it reagent C. One more thing which we require is Folin CO calcium reagent. This is commercially available in the market and it is to be diluted with equal volume of distilled water just before use. That means Folin CO calcium reagent which is available in the market is to be purchased, and at the time of use when you are performing the experiment you have to dilute, or you have to make 1:1 concentration, one part of Folin CO calcium reagent and one part of water, equal volume. So 1:1 concentration we need Folin CO calcium reagent. Okay, so we need bovine serum albumin standard 100 microgram per ml. Okay, this is the concentration, 100 microgram per ml. Then prepare solution A, solution B, take 50 ml solution B, 1 ml 50 ml solution A, 1 ml solution B, prepare alkaline copper reagent and then Folin CO calcium reagent 1:1 ratio. Okay, so just see, so this is the protein. Okay, the protein combines with, say we have shown a protein complex. Okay, the peptide bond of protein first react with what? Cupric ions. So protein copper complex is formed. The cupric ions are reduced to cuprous ions, which then react with, so this then reacts with Folin CO calcium reagent, and the two together combine and form a blue colored complex. Okay, so you can see a blue color that is formed inside the tube. So this is how the reaction takes place. And now what is the procedure? So you have to take a test tube stand. Okay, and in the test tube stand you arrange around 7 to 8 test tubes. The first test tube is labeled as blank. Okay, and then test tube number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then test. If you have 2 unknown sample, test 1, test 2. If you have only 1 unknown sample, then test 1. Okay, so blank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then test or experimental. Now using a clean glass pipette, clean and dry glass pipette, all test tubes should be clean and dry, no traces of water, no traces of any soap, detergent. Okay, now pipette out 0.2 ml of working BSA solution in first test tube, test tube number 1. In test tube number 2, 0.4 ml, test tube number 3, 0.6 ml, test tube number 4, 0.8 ml, and 1 ml of bovine serum albumin protein solution in test tube number 5. Okay, and then in the first tube you have taken 0.2 ml, second test tube 0.4 ml, third test tube 0.6, like that. Now you have to make up the volume in each tube by adding distilled water. Make up the volume up to 2 ml. So in the first tube where you have taken 0.2 ml of protein solution, you will add 1.8 ml of water so that the volume becomes 2 ml. Okay, so in all the 5 tubes you make up the volume to 2 ml by adding distilled water. In the test tube, first test tube which is labeled as blank, you don't have to take any protein. In the blank tube protein is absent. So what will you take in the blank tube? Only 2 ml of distilled water. No protein. Okay, so in the blank 2 ml distilled water. In the test tube number 1 to 5 you will go on increasing 0.2 ml protein, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1 ml protein. Okay, and in all the 5 tube you will make up the volume to 2 ml by adding distilled water. In the test tube labeled as test 1 or test 2. Okay, in the test tube that is labeled as T, you have to add 1 ml of unknown solution or sample. You have to take 1 ml of sample and add 1 ml of distilled water so that the final volume becomes 2 ml. Got it? Blank 2 ml distilled water only. In the tubes labeled from 1 to 5, you need to prepare a standard graph. So go on increasing the concentration of protein and add water to make up the volume to 2 ml. In the test tube labeled as test, you have to take unknown sample 1 ml and 1 ml distilled water, so that in all the 6 to 7 test tube, now the volume is 2 ml. Rest of the reagents are to be added similar in all tubes. Okay, so each tube, okay, then to the each tube you will add 4 ml of alkaline copper sulfate reagent. I told you reagent C that we have prepared. Okay, so each tube you will add 4 ml of alkaline copper sulfate reagent. Is that clear? In all the tubes. Mix well and allow it to stand at room temperature for say 10 minutes. Okay, so allow it to stand at room temperature for 10 minutes. Then to each tube you will add 0.5 ml of Folin CO calcium reagent. Okay, so first you add 4 ml of alkaline copper sulfate reagent, that is reagent C. Mix well, allow it to stand for 10 minutes and then add 0.5 ml of Folin CO calcium reagent to each tube. Okay, mix well, allow the tubes to stand for 30 minutes and then measure the absorbance of the blue purple color formed at 660 nanometer. Okay, so a blue purple color will be formed within 30 minutes. So you have to measure the absorbance of the blue purple color formed at 660 nanometer. Okay, once you measure the absorbance, then okay, like this the tubes will be. See, say for example the first tube is blank. The first is blank. This is test tube number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and this is test 1. This may be test 2 if you have 2 test samples, 2 unknown samples. Okay, so here you have added only distilled water. Here in the first tube you add 0.2 ml of protein, here 0.4 ml, here in the third 0.6 ml, in the fourth 0.8, in the fifth 1 ml of protein. Okay, and in the last 2 experiment, okay, again 1 ml of unknown sample and add the rest of the reagents and all. Okay, so first you add alkaline copper reagent, then allow it to stand for 10 minutes, then add Folin CO calcium reagent, allow it to react for 30 minutes, you get blue color formation and now you read the absorbance at 660 nanometer. Okay, you measure the absorbance. So what will happen? As the intensity of the color goes on increasing, the absorbance will also go on increasing, right? Now, the concentration of protein in the unknown sample, you have to be found out by plotting a graph. So you have to plot a graph to find out the concentration of protein present in the unknown sample. For that, we need first a standard graph. This is y-axis, this is x-axis. Okay. On the y-axis, you will plot absorbance, which is also called as optical density. Okay, on the optical density is plotted on y-axis and on x-axis you will plot milligram of protein, means concentration of protein. Okay, so concentration of protein on x-axis and absorbance on y-axis. Say for example, now understand how to write the concentration of protein. See, the solution which we used was having 100 μg protein per ml. Got it? In the first test tube, we added 0.2 ml of protein solution. Okay, how much is present in 1 ml? 100 μg. So how much will be present in 0.2 ml? To 0.2 into 100, that means 20 μg. Okay, so the concentration of protein in first tube is 20. The concentration of protein present in second tube is 40, then 60, then 80 and then 100. So you just go on plotting like this. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, that is to be plotted on x-axis. What is it? Concentration of protein. On the y-axis, you will plot the absorbance. Say absorbance in the first tube was 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 and so on. And then you plot a graph, you will get a straight line. Okay, like this. You get a straight line. Now, as far as unknown sample tubes are concerned, test. In the tube where you have taken the sample labeled as T or test, you don't know what is the concentration of protein. What you know is the optical density, absorbance, because you have measured the absorbance. Say for example, the absorbance in the unknown sample was 0.35. Okay, so it was this 0.35 unknown, absorbance of unknown. Now you just extrapolate that on the graph and drop a perpendicular line on the x-axis. The point where it meets the x-axis, it is meeting between 80 microgram to 100 microgram. That is the concentration of protein present in unknown sample. Okay. So, you know the optical density or absorbance of unknown sample, that you have to mark on y-axis. Okay. Extrapolate the line up to the graph and drop a perpendicular line on the x-axis. The point where it meets on x-axis is the concentration of protein present in unknown sample. This is how we find out graphically the amount of protein present in unknown sample by Folin-Lowry method. Okay. So that is all about the experiment, how to find out concentration of protein in unknown sample or how to quantitatively estimate the protein by using Folin-Lowry method.